So hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the 1 Point Safety Show. We are live on YouTube and our X Twitter handle. So if you want to jump in and join us, that'd be great. Nice to see everybody in the chat as we go through. I'm joined as always on a Thursday by my glorious co-host Scouse Andy. How are you, mate? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Good. Excited for all these hires. So yeah, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Yeah, been another busy week at work. A bit shorter week because obviously we had Monday off because of the Super Bowl, which was great. But yeah, interesting to go through these coaching hires. Everything's been finalised today. And I think we're going to spend a fair bit of time going through who's who, who's in, who's doing what. And we'll obviously discuss it as we go. And then we'll answer any fan questions that we've got submitted. Probably talk a little bit about the Super Bowl, maybe a little bit about the weekend as well. And then we'll answer the questions as the chat goes on, mate. So, yeah, interesting week, but it's interesting week. I think it's all sorted now. I think currently there is probably a Washington Commanders press conference, or it may have just finished. I did notice that Joe Wick Jr. was speaking when we were going live. So it'd be interesting to see and watch that back. We'll probably catch up on that and report back on that next week, I think. But yeah, looking at this front office then, Scouse, I mean, Adam Peters is the general manager. We've got a new guy who's came in from Detroit called Lance Newmark as assistant general manager. He's a former senior director of player personnel at the Lions. He's got 28 years of NFL experience. Obviously, previously helped oversee the Lions college and pro scouting operations. He also had 2-year stint with the Chargers as a staff assistant, working with the GM at the time of the Chargers, who is Washington Ring of Famer Bobby Beathard. So yeah, 26 years of experience. 26 years with the Lions and 28 years in the NFL. That is a long time for anybody's book. But you're happy that Adams brought someone into the front office there that looks like a really good hire?
Oh, 100%, man. I've mentioned on previous pods I didn't want Martin Mayhem anywhere near this team. Now again, he's still here, but now he's like fourth. Like in the list further down. So for me, I'm happy that Adams brought in somebody who knows what he's doing rather than just his friend, if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, Mayhem and Herney, yeah, they can stay, but in the background, out the way, not making any major decisions, stay out my face. Very happy with Peters, very happy with what he's doing, and yes, happy with this hire as well. Very experienced guy. Has been around a long time, but also I like, especially more recently, the last kind of 3-4 years at the Lions, that they've actually been really good with actually player recruitment, and that's exactly what we're after. So yeah, I can't complain, man. I can't complain. How about you think about him?
Yeah, interesting hire. I mean, I don't really know a lot about him, if I'm being honest. It's not, I mean, we don't scout the front office personnel, let's be honest. You know what I mean? It's not something that you're going to spend your time looking at. But obviously, the amount of time he's been in and around the NFL, there's something about you to stay in an organization for that long throughout several coaching, rehashes and throughout several organization changes. You've got to be pretty decent at your job to end up staying at quite high up in the front office. I think it's good that we've now got an assistant GM as well, because obviously, you see around the league, assistant GMs, they kind of go on to the next level. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Lance Newmark and what he's going to make his mark on this organization. Obviously, we've also got Martin Mayhew has stayed as senior personnel executive and advisor to the GM. Obviously, he's been our GM and been with the team for the last 3 years, and he reverts to his old role that he held in San Francisco. We've also got Eugene Shen, Senior Vice President of Football Strategy. Shen was the first hire under the Josh Harris ownership. Obviously, he's overseeing analytics, software development for football operations. So he's your tape guy, and he's going to look at the X's and O's that way and see who's who in the zoo. We've got Rob Rogers, who's staying on as Senior Vice President of Football Administration. He joined the team in 2020 and he handles the contract proposals, negotiations, and he's the salary cap manager. So a very important person within the organisation is Rob Rogers. Rob Rogers. Rob Rogers, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's the Senior Vice President of Football Administration. Otherwise known as
your famous capologist that you keep going on about.
Capologist. Yeah, he's the guy.
Yeah.
But he's been here for a few years. He's been here since 2020, so he retains his current role. And then the other one filling out the front office staff is Marty Herney, who is just known as advisor to the GM. He stays on previously. He was our executive vice president of football and player personnel. He's done that for the past 3 seasons, and he'll stay on an advisory role reporting directly to Adam Peters. And that pretty much rounds out our front office. So I'm quite comfortable with where we are with that. I'm glad, as you said, that Adam's brought in someone that seems to, have the knowledge around and knows and understands football, and obviously, understands the business that we've got there. Where does the capologist put their fingers? I'm not sure yet, actually, where they do put their fingers. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. As long as he can do the numbers, mate, and
on the cap.
yeah. I don't. As long as he can get their numbers sorted and he can get us some players. I mean, massive role for Rob Rogers going forward, really, and especially with Eugene Shen as well, because Eugene Shen will be coming to him saying these are the sort of players that we're going to be looking at. This is the kind of things that we want to see. Directly reporting through to Adam Peters, who will obviously in turn take it to our coaching staff. And then we need to make sure that we've got the money and the resource to bring these players in. That's kind of where we're at.
I think the only caveat with this guy is that he was there from the previous regime under Dan Snyder, who didn't have any money to spend. So
2020 he arrived. So
2020, yeah, exactly. So where Dan Snyder just basically said, I don't want to pay anything out. So it'll be interesting to see how good he is with manipulating the cap, like you mentioned, and doing those things, because he's never had a true cash-rich owner who will actually spend money up front as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how good he is with it, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll get into the coaching hires then, which is, it's endless. I mean, honestly, I have sat and done 4 pages of work here, but not that anyone cares. All of our 5 listeners that are watching, but no, honestly, I was in pain doing this. I was like, what is going on? Where are these people coming from? It takes a bit of research to try and find out who they are, but we'll go through the big ones so far. So obviously, Dan Quinn is in as head coach, which we spoke a lot about. Cliff Kingsbury as OC, which we spoke about. Joe Wick Jr. as DC, we spoke about. One we didn't get a chance to spoke about, who is a big hire, is Larry Izzo, who's come in as special teams coordinator. Nate Katzer out of the door. Obviously, a Virginia native, played 13 years in the NFL. Then he started coaching for the Jets back in 2011. And after 2 years leading the Texans, I know, mate, it's small.
What is that?
Saying go Jags. Don't know.
Sort it out.
I'll have a word. She'll kick my head in when I get off this pod, so it doesn't really matter. But hi, Karen. I hope you're well. But yeah, Larry Izzo's in, a Virginia native, as I said, 13 years in the NFL. He was coaching at the Giants. Then after 2 years, went to the Texans, where he was special team coach. He then went on to the Seattle for the past 6 seasons. And the Seattle Seahawks and the Texans every season in his special teams has been top 8 in the NFL. He's also had 3 seasons where he had them in the top 2, and that was between 2019 and 2021. So as a special teams coordinator, it's not just a punter and a kicker and a long snapper. It's about the scheme, the gunners. He's top level. He is a top draw hire, and I think that's really cool that we've got him in the building.
It's nice to be able to steal these guys, because let's face it. I mean, half these dudes. I mean, if we tried this even just last year, there was no chance we were getting any of these guys. They were like, nah, you're all right. We'll see how it goes first.
And this is the thing, Scouts. You've got to look at all these hires. You're saying it exactly what I was thinking. Everyone wants to come, and we're looking at it and saying, let's get on this boat now. So if we get on the boat now, we can be here when we're building this and we're righting the ship and we're making ourselves into a championship team, because that's ultimately what they're here to do. I mean, you look at the level of people that we've got here. I worked out, actually, look, between this entire coaching staff, from head coach down, we have 26 Super Bowl rings, either one as a player or as a coach. You know what I mean? That is incredible when we look at it. When we look at it this way, I mean, there's a lot of talent in this. I
A
mean,
lot of winners. That's what we need to see. A lot of winners.
And that's what we wanted. We want people on the same page. We want winners. What's the word that they're using? Alignment, isn't it? Everyone's on the same page. I think that's what they're trying to say there. I mean, Sarah Hogan is another one who's come in, coaching chief of staff, a rising star in the NFL world. She started out as a scout and worked her way up in the coaching ranks in Atlanta under Dan Quinn. She basically says she is the bridge of the gap between coaches and the big departments within the team. She's previously created her own role in Atlanta as the assistant director of coaching, and she's done that from the Falcons from 2016 right until now. So another good hire, and it's nice to see, you know, a woman in high office as well. You know what I mean? We're good at doing this, and I think the team is. We weren't in the past. We've obviously got history for doing the wrong things, you know, towards Black and ethnic minorities, towards, you know, females, and towards other candidates who are going for these roles. And it looks like we've massively turned the corner there, and we're hiring Black and ethnic minority coaches. We have a team president. You know what I mean? It's very, very good to see that this is a total change of direction away from the old. I'm not even going to say his name, but the old regime. And Josh Harris is happy in doing this. Previous experience of working under Dan Quinn as well. So that's really helpful. And if she can be that bridge between the coaches every day on the field, in the training camps, in training normally on game day, between the big departments, that's cool. I think that's a really good role. Another one we've got is Peter O'Hennigan, I think is how you pronounce it, and it says player development coach. Now, he's only ever had 1 year's experience of work from what I've seen and researched on him. And that was previously, he was a defensive assistant coach for quality control in Dallas. Not really sure what that means, player development coach. Bit of a woolly title, but obviously must be a good guy enough for Joe Witt Jr. and Dan Quinn to bring him across here from the Cowboys. So, they're going to bring in their own people. Totally get that.
Maybe he's just a good teacher, literally a teacher of people. Or some people are naturals, aren't they? And some people are just god awful at teaching people. So it might be one of those guys that, he lacks experience, but look at the experience around him. Dan knows him well, Witt knows him well. So I don't know much about him as you know, but at the end of the day, we see how he turns out. I mean, we probably won't see much of him anyway, to be honest.
No, I don't think, not on the day-to-day. I don't think you're going to see much of him, to be honest with you. But if you've got that thing there that's developing players, he's the player development coach. That, to me, means that the players have got an outlet of somewhere to go to if they need something, or if, they're trying to
they're not happy with something on the field or
exactly. You're not chapping the GM's door.
That guy can relay it back to Dan, something like that.
Or you're not chapping the GM's door or the assistant GM's door saying this isn't right. You know what I mean?
You've got like a figurehead as such that you can actually go to as a player, well, more than moaning directly at the coordinator. Do you know what I mean? So, that's quite
makes sense. So Rod's got a question in the chat here, Scouse. It says Grant Paulson said that if we re-signed all the current free agents on the team, it'd be $105 million, so over our cap budget. You're right. I mean, I haven't seen that from Grant, but you are absolutely spot on there. It's going to be very difficult to re-sign a lot of these players. I mean, it's 26 free agents, so it's going to be hard. Having $75 million cap is going to be very, very difficult for him, the capologist, Rob Rogers, to do. He is going to have to be creative, but I don't think he's going to have to be that creative overall, because I think free agency, and we'll get into it, I think free agency is going to be kind of where you do your main business on defense, which I think we agreed this when we were talking in a car on the way down to Burroughs at the weekend. And I think that, the draft is going to be where you supplement this with talent that is going to make a difference. So offense probably realistically in in the draft, and defense in free agency. We'll have money to spend.
That's the way I'd
go. There's also still cuts that can happen. Logan Thomas saves yourself $8 million. Charles Leno saves yourself $7.5 million against the cap. Even cutting someone like who's the right tackle, Wiley, you're saving yourself $6. So in the long run, you're going to hit a bit of dead cap down the road, but overall, we can finesse this cap enough to get 100 million.
And we're in a good position because there's only three or four guys who, if you cut them, it would like destroy your cap. Besides that, everybody else is easily
he's a free agent already. Yeah, so
it's just going to have to guys who are still on the roster, like 4 mil, 7.5 mil, 6 mil. So it doesn't kill you in the cap. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in, if we cut them today, for example. So as long as you're not doing this guy, then we'll be fine.
I know. So we'll go on to the offensive coaching hires then, mate, because we're going to be here all night. I said to you, we're probably going to be talking coaches for half an hour, which is going to be interesting. Nice, interesting change to we didn't really know the ins and outs of what this guy's title was going to be, but now we do. So Brian Johnson has come in and he is the assistant head coach, bump in pay. And he's also the offensive pass game coordinator. So obviously he's most recently been the offensive coordinator over at the Eagles. He's worked with quarterbacks in Mississippi State. He worked with Dak Prescott. He was also Florida offensive coordinator and QB's coach. And he's obviously developed Jalen Hurts there as well in Philly. He's got a bit of a reputation of being a bit of a quarterback whisperer, one that can get things done. He's a little bit better than a quarterback's coach. He's been OC. Yes, OCs get scapegoated sometimes and get fired. Do you know what I mean? I get that. I understand that. At the moment, we all know Philly is an absolute shit show off the field. On the field, it's got a decent enough product, but towards the end of the season, losing 6 in a row, obviously.
Next year.
That was bad.
They are done next year.
I think because their caps, going to bite them big time.
Well, Hurts is going to kill him with his contract. This year was still on a rookie deal. Next year is going to be like absolute killer. So. Man, they're gonna struggle next year. And
so what are your thoughts on Brian Johnson then?
I like Brian. I thought he is a good coach. He's got a good reputation, and he's got loads of knowledge of the NFC East. And this is what we need. We need guys who know the ins and outs, especially of teams who have been winning in our division. So like the Eagles have been winning over the last couple of years. So.
Yeah, I did think it was funny. We laughed about it, and we said, "Oh, we've got one from the Cowboys, we've got one from the Eagles. When's the Giants guy coming?" Well, they are coming. It's mad, isn't it, that we've got basically we basically got NFC East coaches, which is quite mad. Tavita Pritchard stays on as quarterbacks coach. He came in last year, and he obviously stays in the same role. He's had a few looks from other teams. Tennessee Titans was one of them that apparently have been sniffing around, as have the Jacksonville Jaguars, Karen. They've been sniffing around him. I don't think it was particularly on a promotion, but they're still inquired. So we've kept him as QB's coach. That's probably one to develop, for future, because we've talked about it and we'll get into it in a bit because one of our questions has brought this up. We had that conversation because you are not happy necessarily with all of these hires because they're ambitious people and they're going to, if they do well, they're going to get poached, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Tavita Pritchard, I'm happy staying QB coach. Okay.
Yeah, he's also got the rapport with Sam Howell as well, and Sam Howell's still on the roster. So, especially if you get Drake May, that Carolina thing with best mates with Sam Howell anyway. Tavita has got a nice, easy way in with Drake. Then you see, so I can see, and obviously he must have interviewed well to keep his job. So. He obviously tells the guy knows what he's on about, So
Rod's nailed the point there. Absolutely. Again, in the chat, he said the important thing about all these coaching hires is that there are clear lines of succession. Should any coach move on to give the continuity? Absolutely, and we'll get into that a bit later on, mate. But you're bang on there. Yam's put something in the chat here. Yam, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it. He said, I'm still mixed on the staff, but I really can't complain. I'm just a fan. If we turn that around, at least we're competitive. At worst, it's an improvement. Yeah, I agree with you. All you want to see every game is competitiveness, whether it's on the field, off the field. We want to turn. It's going to take a while to turn this franchise around. But looking at the staff that we've brought in, the main theme is leadership and they're winners. And that's what we need. We need high leadership and we need winners. Exactly that. High reputation people.
Do you reckon these guys are cheap on their wages? I don't think so.
No chance. Absolutely no way.
Serious money at this already. Even without players.
Yeah, Adam Peters is bringing up the infinity ring. That's what he's trying to do. He's like, yep, I am here. I'm going to build an absolute juggernaut, and fair play to him. Another really interesting one. Okay, it's only assistant QB's coach, but it's there to help Tavita Pritchard out is David Blau, who is his first NFL coaching job. 28-year-old, former Purdue quarterback. He's had 5 years in the NFL with the Browns, the Lions, the Vikings, the Cardinals. Bit of a journeyman backup stroke practice squad quarterback. He was most recently on the Lions roster as a practice squad quarterback in 2023. A source close to Blau confirmed the news after Blau's mother shared the information on her Facebook page. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Probably get fined for that.
You know what? Probably. But David Blau, former NFL quarterback, he's only going to be able to tell people, the schemes to show young dudes who are coming in how to be a professional.
The looks on natural defense as well.
28 years old as well. He's not old.
And that's what I mean. He's not old. So I mean, even Brissett was older than him. So if you think about it from that angle, so it's kind of, he's not even a player anymore. He's actually a coach. No. And I think a lot of times if you're going to have young quarterbacks, I think a lot of times if you've got young coaches along with him, but who have got some experience, then, that's always going to be a bonus, because you could easily, you can kind of link together. You can actually, kind of build a rapport much easier than, say, Ron Rivera could against, a 21-year-old quarterback coming out. You know what I mean? Where the guy's 28, he's probably going to be more on his level, as in kind of, thought processes and everything else. Not just quarterback, but just in life. You don't always talk football every single conversation. Do you know what I mean? So
I know, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that could be quite useful. And again, he's an assistant guy. There's probably not going to be a lot on his plate. Just help Tavita out and see how it goes. So I'm happy with that. No problem.
All right. Shout out to Scott G in the chat. Thanks for being with us, mate. Really appreciate you being here. You're on all of our pods. So we can't thank you enough for being here. Same as Yam and Rod and my lovely wife, who's probably in the chat as well. So thank you for being with us. Another one, Bobby Johnson, O-line's coach, probably the most questionable hire from the fan base. Obviously, he still had 14 years in the NFL as coaching. He worked tight ends. He's worked O-line with the Bills. He was the Bills O-line coach as well from 2019 through to 2021. And he was good enough that Daboll decided, I'm going to take you across with me to the Giants. He's been at the Giants the last 2 years, not had a great amount of success, whether that's down to the picks like Evan Neal, and Andrew Thomas. I'm not sure, but it didn't really look very, very good. Over
the first season. His first season wasn't actually that bad as the O-line, but the last season was horrible. But that was like kind of our thing, like where everything was just everyone just down tools and it was a waste of time. And I think you saw a lot of that in the Giants. You had a few injuries, obviously lost a quarterback, etc. And they just down tools, mate. That's what happened there. So again, is that purely on the offensive line coach, or is that the whole team? Is that on Daboll? Because Daboll has caused absolute murder this last season, blaming everybody else but himself. He really has, man. I mean, I'm really shocked. The season before, I was praising him, saying this guy's legit. And now he's just like, he comes across like an absolute crazy man. So, he sacked all this staff, hence why this guy was available. I'd say he's got proven coaching experience, as you said. He was at the Bills
14 years, yeah,
and he's at the Bills, who were actually still a good team at that point. 4 years ago, whatever it was. And the O-lines were pretty solid. I know the thing is, though, Josh Allen hides a lot of that, though. Do you know what I mean? Like how bad the offensive lines are. So this is why it's a bit like he is a, he doesn't move the needle, but then I just need to see what he can do, because at the moment, he's the only one at the moment that I'm a bit like, I don't know about this guy. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, next one then is Darnell Stapleton, who is helping out Bobby Johnson. He's going to be the assistant offensive line coach. So the last 2 seasons, he's been the O-line coach at the Florida Gators, which is your team, Scouse. He's a former right guard with the Steelers from 2007 to 2009. He was actually starting right guard in Super Bowl 43, which the Steelers won 27-23 against the Cardinals. So, got NFL experience on the line, is an O-lineman, understands it, Super Bowl winner as well. Kind of that's what you need from your assistant, because at the end of the day, it's not always your position coach who's out there shouting and bawling at you. You need the other guy to teach you the technique, to teach you the finer things of where we are. We've had serious problems at left guard. So, okay, he's a right guard. I get that. I understand that. But that is what you're going to be helping out there. So he should understand the X's and O's, the hand placements, the where to hit, how to block.
You never know. He might even come back out of retirement and actually play for us.
He's not old. He's not old, is he? That's the other thing. So there you go.
He's okay at the Gators, but obviously we're not a good team at the moment. So it's like, we're not in it anywhere near like the main playoffs. I've been like that for the last 5 years now. I don't think so. Yeah, we haven't.
Another one that was massive hire. This one, Scouse, was Anthony Lynn, running backs and run game coordinator coach. Obviously, former Chargers head coach. Spent the last 2 years at 49ers as their running backs and assistant head coach. And he's former running back who won 2 Super Bowls with Denver Broncos. I mean, the way he's developed Christian McCaffrey, I know McCaffrey was good, but he wasn't the best running back in the NFL and MVP good. And that's where he's ended up this year. I mean, yes, why have you took that? For me, this is a bit of not an odd one, but it seems like a bit of a coup for me, this one. When you get a coach or you get an assistant manager or a manager in football and you're like, we've got this guy and he's a bit of a sleeper. Anthony Lynn, for me, it didn't work out at the Chargers. It wasn't amazing. It was a bit meh, the same as it can be for most head coaches. I mean, look at our higher office if you want. You've got, Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury. You've got both head coaches before. Didn't work out for them. Same thing for Anthony Lynn here. Yeah, it didn't work out for him at the Chargers, but my God, he knows how to coach a running back. And to drop from assistant head coach as well, you've dropped that title to come across here when you've already got competition as being, you're not so much the big dog on the park. Do you know what I mean by that? You're almost like, okay, I am just a fish in the pond.
It's got to be two things. It's got to be two things. It's got to be wages. I think that's one.
Yeah.
And that, as you mentioned with Rod, Rod mentioned before about kind of natural progression, because you're going to see it. Because people are, if we do well, we are going to lose dudes. So
of course we are.
And Lynn might be one that might even go, but. But Anthony Lynn, man. I mean, when he came out when he was in that coaching that year, that circle of the new head coaches coming out, and he went to the Chargers. Everyone was after this guy. I mean, this guy's no joke, man. He is an excellent coach. So, I mean, I'm happy with it. I'm very, very happy with that. I think that one's the kind of
the higher. That's the higher for me. Like, Chef's kiss. That one.
Exactly. That's what
Rod's got it.
Exactly.
Rod's got it spot on here. He says B-Rob and Rodriguez will be buzzing. Absolutely right.
And another running back will get, because we'll definitely get a running back somewhere.
Oh, yeah, 100%. But all you have to look at is the player that Christian McCaffrey's become. Do you know what I mean? And not just as he's a dual threat quarterback. He passes, he catches passes as well. I get out of the backfield. I get that. But for pure instinct and running downhill, he has got so much better since he left Carolina. I mean, that first round pick, that was so worth it. Absolutely worth it. Next one we've got then is the tight ends coach, David Ray. I think is how he's known. He's a QB at Iowa. He's coached in the NFL for 8 seasons. He had 5 seasons with Green Bay in various roles. He's coached the Cardinals wide receivers from 2019 to 2020. And last season, he was senior offensive analyst even for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So he must have got a job away from people he knew and thought, I'll put myself out there in maybe a smaller role to get a better role in the future. And if you look at where he's come from and who he's been with, Joe Witt will know him, absolutely no problem at all, because they've been worked together at the Packers. And so will Cliff Kingsbury. So Cliff Kingsbury's going to look at that and go, oh, okay, I know exactly who can teach my tight ends and who can coach them. There you go. We'll get David Ray. And I mean, again, absolutely, think it's spot on. I think it's a good hire, that as well. Really good hire. Next one we've got is Bobby Ingram. He stayed on as wide receivers coach, joined us last season, stays in the same role. No problem at all with that. Was the wide receivers coach
previously? Huh?
No. Tight ends was Juan Castillo, wasn't it, last year?
I thought he moved to the O-line. No,
he may have been
O-line first. I can't remember, but
I'm not sure. But Bobby Ingram was wide receivers coach last year, and he's retained his role. Yeah, he's retained his role. Another one is Shane Tobe, who's I think that's how you pronounce his name. Offensive quality control. He's here last year. He was hired last year previously an assistant for the Bears before then. It's the lower end. We're talking jockstrap and sweat wipers. The guys who are going on giving the Gatorade. I'm quite cool with that. Make sure you got the equipment guys working correctly. Another one I was quite surprised with that's come through is Andre Coleman, who's down as an offensive assistant. And he spent 5 years in the league from 94 to 98. He was drafted in the 3rd round by the Chargers in the 1994 draft. He's also played for the Seahawks and the Steelers. A former NFL kick and punt returner who returned a kickoff for 98 yards in the Super Bowl 29. Coleman spent the majority of his 2019 season as an analyst with the Texas Longhorns. And he's also a former offensive coordinator and receivers coach with Kansas State. So obviously come in from college, but knows the game inside out. Super Bowl winner again. When you've got someone like this as an offensive assistant who can get your punt return and kick return game going.
The coach, innit? You've got to coach our guys, because let's face it, we've been poor on kick returns, punt returns for years. I know a flash in the pan here and there. Crowder did okay. The guy went to the Chargers after he left us after 1 year. I can't remember his name now. Do you remember his name? 3 years ago.
It was Andre Carter. Is it Carter?
That's right, Andre Carter. That's right. Carter.
Yeah, he was with the Raiders last year.
Yeah, but the year before he went to the Chargers, didn't he? First, and then he moved across.
DeAndre Carter.
DeAndre Carter. I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Carter. But anyway, yeah, I mean, he was decent. But again, we didn't keep him either. We kept Mr. Safans, which again, I hope he gets cut this year. Let's face it. So, yeah, man. I mean, I like it because with those guys, as you mentioned there, let's go back to my Super Bowl match where Hunter went return off for 98 yards. Straight away, you've got the instant respect of the kick returner that you're going to be coaching.
Absolutely.
Instantly. You did it in the biggest game there is. So it's like, well, I've done it there. I can get you there. I can teach you this way. I can, you know what I mean? I can make
it. In his career, I mean, I know he's got 5 years, but you're a 3rd rounder and you picked as a 3rd rounder to do punt and kick returns. It's kind of unheard of that if you're a 3rd rounder, and when you look at his stats overall, I know this is a player and not as a coach. We don't know what this guy's going to be like as a coach, but he had over 3,500 return yards, which is mental when you think about it. I mean, it's not, I get this, it's not Beamish level. I get that, but we're getting there. Do you know what I mean? It's really good statistics. I suppose we'll move on to the defensive side of the ball then, Scouts, because we're going to be here all night otherwise.
Yeah, before that,
first,
we've got to get a young question because it's offense still.
Cool. Okay, so no, I haven't seen this. I haven't seen that PFN has put May as their number 1 prospect. They've got Marvin Harrison Jr. as the number 1 overall, but May is the number 2. Meanwhile, Jaden Daniels isn't even in their top 5. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. We're hearing rumors a lot. It's smoke season, as Scouse likes to say, where everyone says, do you know what? It's smoke signals are out, aren't they? No one knows what anyone's going to do. I mean, for me, is Jaden Daniels a top 5 prospect? Probably. He's definitely QB3. But is he a top 5 prospect? I don't know across the entire draft, because would you say Joe Alt's a better prospect, Fashanu's a better prospect, Harrison, a better prospect? Then you've got, he probably isn't in the top 5 when I've just named them. If you're going to go through that, Brock Bowers is probably a top 10 pick. I mean,
I think QBs always get overreached on. That's the problem.
They do. That's definitely
the problem with QBs, because everyone's desperate for one, and you hope to God you land on the right guy. So that's why you'll see Daniels. You'll see QBs be 1, 2, 3. You really will.
Yeah, I think so too. 1, 2, 3 QBs. Yeah, straight off the board. Defense and coaching hires then. So Darryl Tapps came in as D-line coach, former defensive end at Virginia Tech, played for the team for us in 2013. He was also a 49ers assistant D-line coach for the past 3 years. So this is a step up for him. He's got a promotion. He's come back to the DMV, knows the area well, knows the team, will understand the fan base, how rabid it is, what sort of, what their expectations are. So I'm quite happy with that. If he can make his D-line work. Yeah, that's a Peters hire, no doubt about it. That's a Peters hire.
You know what I mean?
No, if you've been in the 49ers for 3 years and they know what you're doing, this is definitely a Peters hire, this one. So, yeah, everyone's coming in now. I've got Deluxe coming in here. I've got, Scott G coming in here saying, have you seen the Joe Witt presser?
No, we missed it.
We had to stop because we start at 8 o'clock. So I saw it go live and I was like, oh, okay.
I missed Witt completely because I listened to half a Cliff. But you fair, Cliff was boring.
I lived half a Cliff. Yeah, I thought he wasn't too good either, to be honest.
You sound boring, bro.
Yeah, I was a bit like, okay.
At least he's not ever been talking about himself in the third person, though. So that's,
that's
a bonus, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
that's true. We've got Sharif Floyd, who's his assistant. So he's going to be the assistant D-line coach. He's a former first-round draft pick by the Vikings in 2013. Knee injury ended his career. Cowboys hired him last year as their assistant D-lines coach. So he's come in as exactly the same, just a straight swap across. But that's an interesting, because that's probably a Joe Witt hire. So Joe Witt will have spoken and said, okay, Adam, if you're going to hire the D-line coach, I'll give you the assistant D-line coach, and we'll go from that.
Scott, you will run through
Scott G saying you'll go for a walk. Yeah. Well, let's do it then. Let's have a look at it. I'm going to have to see this back. As soon as we cut the show early, scouts would disappear, and we'll just go watch the press conference.
Walls.
One thing I did like retained was Ryan Kerrigan, who's got a slightly elevated title, but he's doing exactly the same thing. So assistant linebackers coach and pass rush specialist. So he's got
big
the most
fan of
sacks.
Kerrigan. I think most fans
he's got the most sacks in the entire organization. So
exactly.
Thanks. Kind enough to take a photo with my fat face as well.
I've got a few signed memorabilia from Ryan. He's a great guy as well, you know. And yeah, man, I mean, nothing but love for Ryan Kerrigan. So hopefully he ends up getting a bit more experience and ready to go and take on the next level, maybe in a couple of years.
So. And one that I really thought was another standout, probably the standout one on D, is Ken Norton Jr., linebackers coach.
Yeah,
he's a three-time Super Bowl winner.
It's a big hire.
Big hire. 3-time Super Bowl winner, 2 with Dallas, 1 with the 49ers, and he got a 4th as a coach with Dan Quinn in Seattle. So, hello, there's your there's the way that they're working.
And he was an all-pro linebacker himself.
All-pro, yeah, absolute all-pro.
All-pro. So yeah, I mean, he knows what he's doing.
Listen, look at what they're doing at linebacker. So you've got Kerrigan doing the pass rush for linebackers and coaching and assisting them. Then you've also got Ken Norton Jr., who's going to drill these linebackers to within an inch of their life, and that's what we want to see. We actually want to get a linebacker for a start.
Get some more talent in.
That'd be really good.
But yeah, man, I mean, this guy, he can make men out of clay. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean,
I hope so.
Was he part of the Legion of Boom at the start?
Yes.
Yeah, the start of that kind of like little mini generation. He had
that area. Then we've got Tom Donatel, who's defensive backs coach. He's passed 3 seasons as a secondary coach and defensive passing game coordinator for the Chargers. He's the son of obviously longtime NFL coach Ed Donatel. He started in Seattle. And then he had 4 seasons in college thereafter and came back into the NFL for the past 3 seasons with the Chargers. So, again, another interesting hire. There's experience here.
Was he hired after Lynn?
Yeah, he was hired after Lynn. Yeah, absolutely.
So Lynn would know from the Chargers, wouldn't he?
Of course it is. There's your connection straight away.
Connections, isn't there? You make these connections.
And this is the thing you've got to look at around here is they either know each other in college. They know each other where they come from. They know who they're going to work for. I mean, look at the last guy we talked about. Ken Norton Jr. had 2 seasons as UCLA's linebackers coach. Okay. So, we'll look through.
If you look for years before, you know what I mean? So
correct.
Yeah.
You look through and you look at where they're coming from. Another one, William Gay, who's the assistant defensive backs coach. He's a former corner with the Steelers. He was a 5th-round pick in 2007. He's also been with the Cardinals, the Steelers again. And the Giants, and he coaches on an interim basis with the Steelers in 2019. Then he was defensive backs coach for Missouri University in 2020, and he spent the last 2 seasons with the Texas Longhorns as the senior defensive analysis. So he's been with the Longhorns. And who was the other guy that was with the Longhorns? It was
Cliff Kingsbury a while back.
No, it wasn't. It was Andre Coleman.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So them two all know each other from Texas.
Which Cliff came out for the first time round. He was a Longhorn.
Was he a Longhorn as well? Was he? Ah,
Yeah, because
so yeah, I mean,
Holmes.
Yams put something in the Yams put something in the chat here saying, "I just pray it means we're going to go back to make a linebacker a priority position. I think this is something the team's known for before Ron and JDR took
man.
it. Yeah, I mean that always
all these dudes
exactly that always baffled my head. Is you've got two, amazing. Well, not I mean, Jack Del Rio was all pro as well, but I mean, Ron was all pro and he played on the '85 Bears, and you can't find the linebacker. Like, what are you doing?
Them two are just I think it's got in their own heads, like how big their egos were. Personally,
100%, 100% agree with you. Last couple of hires here, then we won't be long. Jason Simmons, who's defensive pass game coordinator. He's a former NFL safety. Started coaching in 2011 in Green Bay as an assistant. I wonder who you know. Worked with Joe Witt Jr., obviously there. He spent 9 seasons with the Packers in various roles before joining the Panthers and then the Raiders as defensive pass game coordinator. So he has literally looked at this and gone, I want me some of that, and I want to work for Joe Witt. And listen, if that's what people are saying in the chat, you'd run through a wall for Joe Witt Jr., like Scott, like Deluxe, like Rod, who was on talking about earlier, Yam was too. Everyone who's in the chat is saying this press conference is unbelievable. So we need to dip out and look at this press conference. But if you want to run through a brick wall for Joe Witt Jr., then that's obviously why Jason Simmons decided I'll have some of this again. I'll come and link up with my old buddy and work across.
As I mentioned before, man, it's so cool. It's so refreshing to actually see that these guys with big names, I say taking basically demotions, really, to come because they want to be a part of this. They want to be a part of the whole new. Everyone, obviously all believe that we are the winners. We're going to be a winner.
Scouts, I don't think they're taking demotions in pay, but in what the titles are. I get that.
In what you're doing, and I think it's just. I think it's an amazing thing. I think it's something so refreshing because you just would never have had that ever as a. Under Dan Snyder. I mean, Dan Snyder would throw out some big money for a big head coach, for example, but not the whole staff like we're doing. It's completely different, man.
So George Blanco,
coach Cliff was part of Texas A&M.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Right, not the Longhorns then, not Texas. Interesting.
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, a different college altogether, mate.
Are they?
Yeah, the Longhorns are actual Texas, but there you go. George Blanco's come. Yeah, I'm not interested in Texas. George Blanco's come in as defensive quality control coach. George Blanco's more important. He spent 3 seasons with the Alabama Crimson Tide, so he's come across from college ranks, first job in the game. Again, jock strap holder, towel, sweater, whatever you need. Do you need a new blanket? Yes, I do. Can you turn that heater on for me, please? Can I have a Gatorade? That's fair play. You've got to start somewhere. Sure.
Thanks, Sean. You better go Mahomes.
Yeah, right. There you go. Happy days. And the last one, which again was a bit of a serious hire, is John Pagano, senior defensive assistant, 25 seasons in the NFL, had 5 seasons as DC. From 2012 to 2016 with the Chargers. And then again, 17, he was DC with the Raiders. Most recently with the Broncos as outside linebackers coach from 2020 to 2021. Big name, big hire again.
Big name, and to say his brother's even bigger. So, Chuck Pagano. So, you look at like the family, like the Manning family. They're all going about families, football family. This guy's exactly the same.
Paganos, yeah, exactly the same.
Paganos, this is.
Look at Deluxe has nailed it in the chat here again. He says the GM wanted to be here, the coaches want to be here, players will want to play here. I agree with you completely. I think people will go into free agency and they will look at this and say, "Give me some of that," because I honestly think that is where we're going to go here. Rod's brought up a similar comment as well. He's saying here they want to be part of the story for the new Commanders era. Completely agree with you. I think this is where, when we look at our coaching hires and how we've done so far, we're winning the offseason, but you can't just win the offseason. That's the problem you've got. Look, I'm not expecting us to go out there and start putting up 10, 11, 12 wins. I mean, you never know, but it's happened. You know
It's
what I mean? It's
unlikely
happened
in one
look at
year.
Houston,
It's unlikely
but it's
in 1 year,
massively
but-
unlikely. We have to still plead patience and plead for time and say, you know what, it might not mean anything after 1 year, but you know we
That's
might
it.
be
I
picking
mean, the thing is,
quite high again.
the pressure's on Peters because he is
They
a
did.
great talent evaluator. Him and his new understudy. However, these guys have got a hit on nearly every draft pick because we haven't got a roster. We can't go, oh, we can get away with it this year. This guy was not quite at the level yet. He can play a year or half a year or whatever. No, these guys have got to be ready to play near enough from game one, near enough. So Peters has got his work cut out, definitely Peters, because as I say, we haven't got the squad big enough to kind of handle having our second round pick be on the bench because he's not good enough. You know what I mean?
So let's look at some of our fan submitted questions that we came in that are around this subject. So we'll stay with it. And the first one is Deluxe, who's in the chat already. So thanks, mate. He is at Arch Deluxe on X. So please go and give him a follow. He said, what position group will benefit the most by having their new coach and why? I will give that one to you. There you go, Scouse. And I'm going to put on the old banner of Scouse's dropping the knowledge because he's about to drop some knowledge for everybody.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if people might know a lot more than me, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, but in general, I mean, I think my pick is going to be Ken Norton. It really is. I really do believe that the linebackers are going to be a different level this year. They really are. I mean, even you still got this talent in Jamin Davis, who for me I think he could genuinely be an elite pass rusher. Blitzer at linebacker, if that makes sense. Not play on the end. I'm talking like an actual blitzer. But we have not really utilized him in that way properly. We did it a couple of times and he looked good doing it. But besides that, well, Ken Norton,
some linebacker blitzes.
Linebacker blitz. But I do think Norton's going to be the real deal. He's going to get our linebackers playing legit. And I just hope that we do get a decent linebacker in draft and free agency. Just to help these guys out, because let's face it, there's nobody there. They're all absolute shit. You know what I mean? Jamin Davis is the only one you could say he's got talent, but he hasn't really proved it. But I blame Del Rio for that. Actual real linebacker coach like him, an all-pro who knows what it's like to be elite. That's the key for me. That's the key. And as I say, hopefully we get some guys in free agency as well, and you know, hit the ground running at linebacker.
So the one for me, I'm going to go slightly different to you, is Anthony Lynn, a running backs and run game coordinator. I mean, come on. Like Rod said in the chat, you know, Gonzalez, where did I get that from? Rodriguez, even. Yeah, Rodriguez and Brian Robinson, they must be absolutely licking their lips at this and thinking, chomping at the bit, going, you know what? We can see what you've done, not just with a running back like Christian McCaffrey, but pass catching backs as well. He's had them out there. He knows what he's doing there. This is
Imagine
great
what he
hire.
could make, Brian Robinson. Imagine what he could make.
Oh, wow. It's just a molded ball of clay, as you said. You know what I mean?
It could be scary. It really could.
It could be. You're absolutely right. David, at Glasgow Skins fan on X, he said, what's your favourite move so far in terms of the coaching hires? I think you might be different. I don't know if...
I mean, you know, I had a feeling you were going to go Anthony Lynn originally for that question. And I do think Anthony Lynn is one of the main guys. I really do. I think he's going to bring that different edge to us that we need on the run game. I do like that hire a lot, to be honest. So genuinely,
I agree with you. I think that is a great hire, but I'm going to go with Joe Witt Jr. I think he's going to do serious things as a DC.
I say he's a new coordinator. We don't know what he's about yet, but again, loads of upside, and he's got Dan Quinn, helping him out, being arm around the shoulder. So, so why not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So that's it really on the question so far for them ones that are around. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else on
here. Had another one as well. No.
Oh, we have Richard Cameron. Yeah, so Mr. Richard Cameron on Twitter or X, whichever you want to call it. He said, obvious questions, but how are we feeling about the coaching and front office moves this week? For me, as a long-term fan, it's exciting to see the organization operate with energy in a focused, elite manner. I think Harris, Peters, and Quinn could restore our lost pride. I mean, do you think that he could be out there restoring our lost pride?
100%. I mean, any team just looking at what we're doing right now, like even like Dallas fans, even they're going, Washington are doing making some moves here, and even they're impressed with the hires that we're doing. And these are guys who just don't like us in general, So to see that and to see some of these guys think that and say that, you're thinking, we are getting our pride back, if that makes sense.
Look, this is a serious organisation for once. Yeah. We have a serious general manager who's in his first job, and he's not messing about. He wants to prove winners. Josh Harris, I loved the interview that he had the other day about the stadium hire. About going towards the stadium and how he's took to this hiring process. And he basically said, I can't coach football. I don't know about it. So I'm going to bring in people who do know about it. And that's like, yes, that's what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? You don't get someone who's like amazing in, rural agriculture to run your economy. Do you know what I mean? It just why would you do it?
Well, we do that in our politics, but besides
we do.
That,
but yeah, I know what you're saying. But square pegs in square holes for once. That's what we want. Last question on this subject is from Simon Thurston, good friend of ours. Met him for the draft a few years ago. Top bloke. He's also a contributor to the HTTC blogs with Christian. He said, any concerns? I did get his, actually. I've got it on the bottom, yeah. He has said, any concerns with so many talented and experienced coaches now in the building, they may not gel. This is looking a bit further ahead, but is there also a risk that after the 2024 season, other teams poach our coaches?
Now, I mentioned this last week.
You did.
And that's my biggest concern, is that if we do well, we're going to lose some of these top-level coaches straight away. So that's the problem. That's why it's so important, what Rod mentioned before, that these guys are basically the guys under these big names, like under the Cliff, or under the DC guy, that they're being groomed for the next position. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As soon as one of those guys leaves for the head coaching job, they're ready to step in and like make it run smooth, like nothing's been changed. Do you know what I mean? That's what we need. That's what we need to do. And I think that's what we're doing. That's why we're getting all these good coaches and loads of guys like these no-mark guys you mentioned, but they're like third down the line in the list of their position. But they're still, they're going to get promotions, and eventually you're going to have
correct. And that's
a 10-year. For these dudes.
That's exactly it. And Scott's put it in the chat there. He said there's a succession plan in place now. Completely agree. Look at where we are. Look, if Cliff balls out and we have an amazing offense next year, oh, right, Cliff's going on the head coaching tour. Okay, well, who are we going to get in next then? Oh, I don't know. Oh, we'll have to get Brian Johnson in, who's already groomed, been an OC before. Happy days.
Exactly.
Oh, then Brian Johnson goes. Brian Johnson goes, oh, shit, who are we going to get in now as either an assistant head coach or we'll bump Anthony Lynn up a little bit and, if he wants to stay and, oh, actually, you could be our next OC. Or maybe it's Tavita Pritchard who's the time to be the OC because he's done a few years as the QB's coach. There is a massive succession plan here. It's great. It's great for what we're doing.
You can tell that Peter's experienced people. He really is. You know what I mean? Not thinking now. He's thinking 2-3 years down the line. Definitely.
But look at what's happened. We waited until the Super Bowl was over to finish our staff out because he knew he needed to bring people into this building from the 49ers. But look at what's happened in the 49ers. They made a mistake in firing. They're all jumping ship, but also they fired their OC today. Who's taking over? No one, because they're all here or somewhere else.
The Wilkes goal.
Wilkes. Sorry, Wilkes. He was that went.
And also, the Ayuk is causing loads of shit now as well, isn't he? He might not be there anymore. So he'd be a nice little guy in free and see if we can afford him. It'd be quite nice.
I'm just going to go back to what Yam said here just a little bit in the chat. He said, I was out on the Quinn hire, but I was probably a blessing in disguise with all these people that have been able to reach out and bring over. I don't think Ben or Mike would have had this kind of reach. I completely agree with you.
I agree as well.
Whenever you listen to anybody, and I don't know if this is bullshit or if it's platitudes or if it's genuinely a thing. I got quite excited when I watched Dan Quinn's press conference last week, and I thought, you know what? I understand what you're doing when you're talking about I've done a 360. I've gone out and I've actually asked people, how did I do? What did I do wrong? Where can I improve? Every single person who has spoke with Dan Quinn and comes across Dan Quinn has said, you know what? I'm going to work with him in the future. But if I get an opportunity to do that, I'm going to work for him. And look at this staff who we have prepared. I mean, look, you've got a girl, you've got a lady here who has left, an organization where she's been for what, 10 years almost. You know what I mean? 5-6 years, and she's just has dropped at the hat, bang, Dan Quinn, yeah, I'm coming, without even a blink of an eye. And you think to yourself, okay, I understand exactly where he's coming from here to try and get things going. But you're right. You can see Deluxe has done it again. You can see the long-term succession planning coming through, and there's youth. There's youth here. We don't know what these coaches are going to be like, really, realistically. But my God, it's better than watching, Jennifer King, and no offense to Jennifer King on running backs coach, but Randy Jordan, Brett Visselmeyer. I mean, what the, what are we talking about here?
All our good coaches a couple of years ago walked because they want to be around us.
Who is it?
You know what I mean?
I mean, what's his name? Who's at the Titans? I can't remember. He went to the Titans, didn't he? Defensive backs coach. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, no, you're
someone put it in the chat. Yeah, we really, really missed him, and it went downhill. It went completely downhill thereafter because quite clearly they didn't know what you're going on. Yeah, there you go, Deluxe. It's the same thing. Assistant GM leaves Detroit after 26 years to be in Washington. Exactly, 26 years. He's been in the NFL for 28 years.
He's sacking off Johnson as well. You know what I mean? So. That's quite nice.
Says a lot, doesn't it? Says a lot. It does say a lot. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll get on to the Super Bowl then. So this weekend we went to Andy Burrows' birthday down south, which was a good time by all of us on Saturday night. We got very, very drunk, which was good. I didn't get that drunk, Karen. I was very drunk. But anyway, we got back just in time, or I got back just in time for the Super Bowl. Looking at that, I mean, we watched the Super Bowl. I fell asleep after about 3/4 and woke up, and it was an overtime. And fell asleep sitting up, which was quite interesting because my neck was killing me for 2 days afterwards. But hey, it is what it is when you sleep with your head in your pocket. 25-22 to the Kansas City Chiefs. Oof, mistakes happening in that for that final overtime play. Why on earth are you giving Patrick Mahomes a shot at getting the ball, even if you scored, knowing that he needs a possession with at least 4 downs to go? Come on now. That is not good.
It's risky, but I understand it from Kyle's point of view because Mahomes didn't do anything all game. If you think about it, I mean, it was Booker who made all the points. Mahomes just got him into field goal range. He only scored once. So that was from
I've got the stats
here. As a actual head coach, you think, well, let's get our defense is holding Mahomes to 3 all the time. If we get 7, we've won this. So I understand why he went for it. And plus, his defense is blowing out as well. It's knackered. So let's us take possession first. Let's give them a breather. I understood why he did it. It just didn't work for him.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, me and Yam obviously think the same. But I was screaming at them saying, "Why on earth are you giving Mahomes a chance?"
System, though, isn't it? It isn't just like it normally is in overtime. It was a different game, wasn't it? It was like it would continue.
Yeah, it's a brand new game. You start a brand new game.
But for me, yeah, I mean, I understand why Kyle did that. For the situation they were in. Defense was doing well, but we're blowing, as in like they were tired. And you're still kind of doing okay on offense to a certain extent. So let's keep the ball, give our guys a breather, then get going in overtime and hopefully stop them straight away. But again, the flip side, even Mahomes, as you said, 4 downs every single time, and that is a dangerous proposition as well. So it could have went either way for Kyle there, but again, he made the wrong choice at the crucial time and cost him.
Kansas City's right. Rod's got it here. Kansas City defense with a difference, in particular Jones. Shout out to all those affected at that parade. Don't want to see that. Never want to see that ever in any connection to a life at all, any event or even anything like that. I mean, it's very different for us out of here, and we don't want to get political on this podcast. It's very different over this side of the pond. We don't really have that. Yes, people have been talking about. I've been interacting with people on X, and you've got 15,000 stabbings a year. No, we don't have 15,000 stabbings a year. We had 63 deaths from stabbings last year. So fucking sort your facts out. Don't come at me with your MAGA Trump hat, giving it fucking woo-ha. Look, if you want a gun, that's fine. You crack on, but I don't want to see this shit every day. America, you're going to have to sort your shit out somewhere down the line.
They
Someone's going to
never
have to
will.
make
Though. That's the problem,
a
mate. They
decision.
never will.
They won't.
That's
I know, but someone's going to have to do something somewhere
because the
down the
money's
line.
too
But
much. It pays for these guys.
it is. I understand it. Look,
the campaigns. You know,
Scouse, you're preaching to the converted, mate. I understand, mate. I understand, but
I'm scared of going back to the US. It's not good, that, mate.
I know. But we're not here to talk about that. But obviously, thoughts and and everything with
the families,
the families and stuff. Genuinely, because
I just don't understand like pure moronism, if you want to call it a word. Just pure morons. These guys. I mean, I really don't get it, man. Like, was it the Toronto 49ers fan from losing or something? What was it? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I don't know.
Idiots.
So anyway, back to Patrick Mahomes. So Patrick Mahomes was 34 of 46, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, and he also rushed for 66 yards. Pacheco was 18 for 59, Kelsey 9 for 93, Mecole Hardman 3 for 57 and a touchdown, and MVS also scored a touchdown, which is
speaking of Kelsey. What do you think of Kelsey doing that to
Andy Reid? I was a bit like, whoa!
Like, what are you doing, bro?
That is not what you do.
I would have benched him.
I did notice though that they went very, very quiet to him for a quarter. I wouldn't get a reception for a further quarter.
No, he shouldn't have got anything. He shouldn't have been on the pitch. I would have bet. I understand he's the main offensive guy, but I would have put a point right there. Don't fuck around with the head coach, especially on the field. In that actual in game like that, you just don't do that. I understand he's not getting the ball or whatever, but fucking hell, bro. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, the guy's an absolute idiot. I mean, the guy's 60-odd years old as well.
It's not good.
And Keldy's 6'5", 28 or whatever.
It really wasn't. It wasn't a good look.
I'm telling you, man, that's out of order. He should be fined millions for that.
It was not a good look, that's for sure.
Totally out of order.
Yeah. On the obviously on the other side, on the San Francisco 49ers side, Brock Purdy was 23 of 38, 255 yards and a TD. Jawan Jennings was 1 of 1 for 21 yards and a TD. He also had 4 receptions for 42 and a TD himself. Christian McCaffrey, 8 for 80 yards, 1 TD, and Jair Brown, the safety, got an interception from Mahomes. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, overall, I thought it was a really good game. I wanted the 49ers to win just because I was getting a bit much of Kansas City's so-called dynasty as it's going. But
I didn't, because I don't want Kyle to win anything. So
fair enough. I understand you. I understand where you're coming from, but we all need to move on.
Shit, I get it. I mean, and I get why Dan treated his dad really bad. I get it as well. But in general, have a bit of class when you leave. You know what I mean? But he didn't. So, and he held on to that grudge for a long time. So any more recently, he's kind of chilled out. So I don't want him to win anything. Being honest.
I suppose, that's it now. We've got 203 days until football's back. So it's going to be how we're going to keep the mic rolling.
We'll try. It's going to be the next thing. And then there's going to be pro day. And then it's going to be draft. Okay. Yeah. And then it'll be.
And it's free agency as well in March. So, you know what I mean? It's not too far around the corner. So we'll get there. We will hopefully have enough to keep the mic rolling. As long as he's not off the field stuff, we'll be good with that. So we'll get into our final fan questions then that we've got submitted. And thank you everyone for popping these on. David, who was Glasgow Skins on X, he's also put another question in. He also asks, all the chat has been, we'll move up, but what would it take for you to move down a spot and trade with the Patriots? Would you consider it, or are you set on someone at 2?
I would consider it. You're still going to get yourself a good quarterback, even if you're at 3. So just depends what they're willing to offer. I mean, for me to even think about it, you're going to give me obviously number 3, but then you're going to give me a first round next year and a second this year, at least.
You want a first and a second just to move back one spot.
I want a first.
That is
I want the first for next year, and I want this year's second, and obviously swap over 2 and 3. Yeah. That's what I want.
That is a lot. That is a lot to give up just to go
I
down
think
one
that,
spot.
but it's got to make sense. Though. There's no point in going, oh, I'll give you a third rounder to move down. No, ain't gonna worth shit.
That's
And
true.
these guys are going to come up for a stud, the guy they love the most. So
yeah, exactly. But it depends on. This is what I mean. It depends on where the coaching staff see and the GM see this team going. If they are not 100% convinced between the difference between, let's just say, Drake May and Jaden Daniels, for argument's sake, and they're like, do you know what? We can't really split them, but we know we're going to be good with either one of these. Then I can see in that position that you would trade back. What I would want as compensation is a minimum of a second round pick this year, most likely a second round pick next year, and probably an extra pick this year, like a fourth, or if you want to do 2 and 3 this year and a fourth next year, I'd probably take that too. Just to go down one spot, I'd be quite happy with that. It depends. I haven't got the trade compensation chart out in front of me, but this is a different year. And we've heard this year that obviously Ian Rappaport and the likes reporting that Chicago want an absolute historic haul. Look, let's be honest here. We are not in a position to go all out and give everything away, give the farm away to get Caleb Williams. It's all good saying, oh my God, got this generational talent quarterback, but how are you protecting him? How are you putting a team around? It's no good having all these coaching hires, and this is what we're looking at here.
No talent. Yeah.
All these coaching hires need some sort of talent somewhere on the line.
And don't forget,
we have 26 free agents, and we've got the highest cap space, but it's hard to do anything with it.
Of all the codes we went through, we spent an hour talking about there. What's the one that's a bit like, it's the O-line coach? So the thing is, you don't want to be getting a Caleb Williams and having bang average players on the O-line with a bang average coach. So that's a recipe for disaster. That's going to get your quarterback hurt at some point. So it's not worth it. That for me, that's not worth it.
No, not
to go up and give away the farm, even though he's a good quarterback. He's the best quarterback in this draft. But no, not for me. Just pure. But I genuinely believe he might even be there when it comes to the
number two.
Yeah.
I think it's a slim possibility, very, very slim possibility. Don't be surprised if we get to March and free agency opens and start hearing the rumors of Justin Fields is going to the Falcons, whatever, and he's away. I mean, I'm not paying Justin Fields a new contract if I'm the Bears. No chance. Not when you can go back and say, you know what, I can reset the market. I can reset it with a quarterback. I can reset it on the 5-year, get that 5th-year option for that rookie quarterback. That's exactly where every team wants to be. Look at CJ Stroud last year. Look at where they want to be. They want to be there. They want to be saying, hey, this is amazing. Jalen Hurts got massively paid because he had one good season. Same with the likes of, Daniel Jones got paid enormously. Don't know why he got paid by the Giants, but hey, it is what it is. Yam's right here as well. I mean, he said that David Harrison on Locked On Commanders pod, shout out to them, did a good breakdown of the draft trades and possible point value. And then he said, in theory, all it would take to move up is to trading from 2 to 1 is to give the Bears their second round pick back. You're absolutely right when you look at the trade value chart, but there's no way they're going to do that. They know fine well they have a hand here. But somehow they're going to play the hand soon. They're going to play the hand soon, and we're going to have to wait.
I like what Yam says at the end. Sit at 2, make the Bears sweat it out because I think Justin Fields will be gone.
No, I don't think I think he'll be gone by the time the draft comes round. 100%. He'll be gone.
You reckon they'll trade the pick before the draft starts?
100% he'll be gone. He'll be gone as soon as free agency's open. Within probably a couple of weeks, not even mid-March, Justin Fields will be gone. They'll be gone. They've got nothing to sweat. They're exactly what Scott's just said. They've got nothing to sweat about. They have the number 1 overall pick. No, they haven't. They've got good cap space.
If they keep it going into the draft, they're going to be sweating it because Caleb doesn't want to play for them. The leverage is going to be gone, and then we can just go, okay, then we'll just fuck around. If you get Caleb, what we'll do, we'll go Marvin Harrison in at number 2 and say, go ahead then. Come and trade with us for Caleb.
Oh, you want the Eli trade, do you? Nah,
yeah.
Come on.
I mean, that's
honestly
make them feel the pain.
If you're Mr. Poles over at Chicago, do you really think that you're going to be sweating about anything? What utter bollocks, Scouse. Going to disagree with you completely here. I think that's total bullshit. If you're sitting there going, you know what?
I'm not sweating. You got the
say-
most generational talent that doesn't actually want to play for you. Yeah. But
He
and
does
he's
wanna
gonna be
play.
number one. And then it's like, well, wait a minute.
He will want to play. He wants to play in the NFL. He's a young kid. He wants to play in the
Hey,
NFL.
he's going to play. He can choose who the hell he wants to play for virtually.
Nah,
He really
not
could.
really.
He could.
The NIL deals caused a lot of problems. I understand that kids are getting paid these days. It's hard. I mean, I get
Archie
it. but
Manning
no
paying
one-
$6 million or something. He doesn't even play in college.
He's
Doesn't even play
Texas,
on the
isn't he?
bench.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you think about these
Yeah.
things, you know what I mean? So, you know, these guys don't have to go, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to stay out here another year. I know Caleb's decided to come this year. I get that. But in general, these guys have got that power now. We've never had any power before. Big difference,
Yeah,
man.
I think honestly, I think Fields will be gone. And I think they'll be picking Caleb Williams. They can't get away from that. They really can't get away from that. But yes,
I'd love the way you say that. I love the way it happens, exactly how you say it. And then the draft comes and they pick Caleb at 1, and then Caleb goes, on the day, I don't want to play for you, trade me. I'd love that shit. I would love it.
Yeah, I know you would. You're like,
even if it's not even to us, it'd be brilliant just to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. I know you would. That it would be funny. So we've got a couple more questions here. Jesse Martin, obviously host of the Bleeding Burgundy podcast. He is at Jesse's 24. It's out every Monday and Fridays. You can hear my ugly mug ranting, and you also got John Taman on there as well. And occasionally we have Hog Farmer Keith Gray. He said, "How nice is it that we're talking about nothing but football this off season?" It's a bit refreshing, Jesse. Yeah,
nice. Yeah, really refreshing, man. Really is. It's just nice. Picking off about fucking Dan Snyder's bollocks going on. You know, so it's great. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, Yam's put in here about Fields. He said he thinks that trading Fields to Denver for a swap of a player and draft picks wouldn't surprise me. Yam, I think he ends up at the Falcons. That's where I think he's probably.
I mean, can Denver afford it though?
To land. I don't know.
They're
if
going to get absolutely crucified on cutting.
They are.
So,
but then
they afford to pay Fields.
There's talk of Kirk Cousins going there. I mean, where'd you pay fine $40 million?
I don't think you get 40 mil now because it was Achilles. I think you'd probably ask for less, or you can get him for less, should I say.
Yeah. Another question here from John Taman himself at Bang Radio Hour. He's the co-host of the Bleeding Burgundy podcast. And on YouTube, if you search Bang Radio or Bang Cartoons, you'll find some of his early work, which is quite funny. Back in the day, he's put, how heavy do you think Ken Norton Jr.'s forehead is? I mean, it is a head of plenty. I'll give you that. It is a massive schwad, shall we say? It is a big head. Yeah. But fair play to him. I mean, I would not want to mess about with that. But there you go. He's a big old dude. He's a big old boy. But yeah, cheers for that, John. And then our last and final question is from Christian Burt himself. He is he blogs in the UK. He does UK HTTC blogs. You can Google them and they'll find him. He's also Christian Burt on X. He's also your co-host on Red Zone in the Lab UK, which drops normally on a Sunday early morning, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've got a chance, it's around about, I don't know what time it is.
It's a bit early for the Yanks, to be fair, but normally it's about 11 o'clock our time, so 6 a.m. in the morning Sundays.
Yeah,
for the Yanks, it's quite early, like, you know.
Yeah, that is quite early.
Yeah, we are normally live, just like the Deuce is with us as well.
He said here, what is your most outlandish free agent we might acquire? And by that, he means big name and high salary guy.
Well, no, you're going to pick one of the edge rushers, aren't you? I mean, that's what I'd probably go with as well.
I was going to, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to go with Josh Allen or something like that.
I was going to go Josh Allen. He would be my highest earner, probably about 23 mil a year. Obviously, great player. Brian Burns, I do think we actually probably get Brian Burns. But honestly, they're probably going to get franchise tagged them too. So
but these guys are going to be asking for 20 mil minimum per year. Both of them are probably going to ask for something like that.
Oh, absolutely. 23, I think, is the market value for Josh Allen, which is massive. Do you know one who would be amazing? What about Chris Jones from the Chiefs? But he is not testing free agency.
The only place that we don't really need.
I know.
The only place in the whole bloody team that we don't need any players for. But no, I think the inside DTs. I think we're fine. We've got plenty of depth. I think they're good enough. Especially if Allen and Payne can actually get back to previous year's play. Which I think with the new D-line coaches and the way this team's going to be, I think they will be more motivated, and I do think they'll. I think Allen will get a new contract as well. I do, and I think they'll be able to
with the Jacks
more available money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, John Allen. Sorry,
John Allen. Sorry,
Rod's mentioned Devin White. Now, are you on about the linebacker?
Oh, he was. Yeah, he is. He was
on
your
about
pick,
the linebacker, Devin White?
Yeah, he was your pick, wasn't he?
Yeah, I love that guy. I mean, he didn't play in the playoff game though, which is that tells me he's definitely leaving. He didn't play. He was sitting there on the bench. He was healthy, just didn't play. So I can definitely see that. I can definitely see him coming. He'd be great to have because he'd be sideline to sideline speed, man. It'd be very nice.
I mean, there's two that I like.
Again, linebackers are most of the time because
there's two I like. Obviously, Patrick Queen is one of them. He will probably test
free agency. Yeah, I think you've got to.
And then my favorite, who is down as an edge rusher, but he's both. He can play linebacker. He's played linebacker. Came out as a linebacker, but it's Bryce Huff from New York Jets. He is an unbelievable talent, and it's not going to cost you a lot of money. You're probably talking $12 million a year. Which is not one for an outrageous one that I think who could test free agency. Yeah, he's down as a D end now. Yeah, he's down as a D end, but he came in as a linebacker into the league and he's played linebacker. He's kind of like almost like a Micah Parsons hybrid. Do you know what I mean? That's that type of player. He can play both possessions. But honestly, the one I think you could go outrageous with earning money, L'Jarius Sneed. From the Chiefs again, he is probably going to test free agency, probably looking at about $18 million a year, which is a lot of money. But he's
premier position nowadays, though, isn't it? It's a premier position.
28 years old, and he didn't give a single touchdown up all season. His first touchdown was against the Bills in the playoffs that he gave up. And that was ridiculous. That was a ridiculous, it was a ridiculous touchdown as well. That was a bit of a lucky one, but he didn't give up a single touchdown all season. And, I don't understand the hate for Kendall Fuller either. When you actually look at his statistics, he was 7th best corner overall in the entire league. Are we going to let this guy walk for $10 million a year?
He shouldn't, but it depends on what he wants. I mean,
that's what I mean. Listen, if he wants more money than that, you might struggle. I get that, test free agency, but in all honesty, I imagine that Sneed, Fuller, Benjamin St. Goat, and Emmanuel Forbes.
St.
Ghost.
Not even there. He's awful.
But that's not bad for corners.
Because he's not there. Absolute ghost.
I know.
Just ghosted.
Mental.
Yeah,
but yeah, they're the sort of ones I could think of.
Again, if we could afford him, you never know. Maybe we start getting those players giving us
looks.
Pats the way the Pats used to get it all the time. When they were winning everything, they were getting all these players who were class but dirt cheap. I'm like, what's this about? Because they want to go and win a ring. That'd be quite nice, True. Man. If players do start to think like that and go, you know what, they could actually do something like legit. That'd be nice because then we get quality players at a cheaper price. Get a better team. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? But we got 27, 26 free agents, and we obviously got a lot going on there. So I mean that about does us, Scouts, to be fair. But thanks everyone for being in the chat. Thank you to K Hart. Thank you to Yam Sensei. Yam, thanks to Deluxe. Thanks to Rod for being in with us. Thanks to Scott G for being in with us. We appreciate you being on the stream. We appreciate you being here. Obviously, lifeblood of this on YouTube. Also, to everybody who downloads and listens to the pod, it's still doing really good numbers. We can't thank you enough for doing that. Otherwise, we'd just be two English dudes sitting chatting rubbish. We really appreciate you coming on here. Thanks to everybody who put a question in: Jesse, Richard Cameron, John Taman, Simon, Christian. We've got David as well, and Deluxe again. You know what I mean? Thank you for putting them in. We really appreciate you putting the questions in, because obviously the show wouldn't be the same without you. So, and yeah, last comment there, Deluxe is absolutely right. Cousins would be absolutely bonkers.
Bringing them back,
it would be. Yeah, it would be crazy. It would be crazy. All right, guys, that about does us. Thanks very much for being with us. You can catch us all. We'll catch us all on our socials. We are at 1.safety4. Scouse is at Scouse20, Scouse Andy 20. I am at Scotty H84. And we will be live again next Thursday. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Thank you.